Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hey!
This week, we'll be doing the immortal classic Jaws, starring Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, Roy Scheider. It's an all-star cast.
Didn't the shark have a special name? Was it like Ralph or something? The shark actually had a name, but I'm blanking on that.
The name of the shark was Bruce.
Bruce! That's right. Do you think that ELO song, Don't Bring Me Down, Bruce, was about the shark?
It was. We can all agree on that. Now, growing up, I always wondered what came first, Jaws the shark or Jaws the James Bond villain.
Isn't it the James Bond villain?
No. The book came out years before the movie. So I think in film, the James Bond villain came first, but he took the name from the book, which was a bestseller, I believe, unless I've lost my mind, which is entirely possible.
You know, it's all about if you feel you're right, it must be true.
That's the way I feel about it.
That it must be true.
It must be true. Now, this movie is I think this is top 5, one of my favorite movies ever. I gotta be honest. I love Jaws. I think it is dynamite.
I will tell you, there are certain bits of dialogue in this and certain bits of acting where it seems so genuine.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. Oh, yeah. And I know we're all talking about the same scene, I'm sure.
Well, there's a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, this is Steven Spielberg.
And John Williams, of course. You can smell a John Williams score, in 3 beats. I can name that tune in 2 notes.
Well, I read somewhere that when he first presented the score to Spielberg laughed and said, "It's true because it's so basic when it starts. It's just it's like he's just like, okay, come on." Quit joshing, but evidently he eventually came around. Now, this
one of those earworms where it gets in your brain.
It does indeed. Now, this movie became the first big summer blockbuster. Prior to this movie, they go to the movies during the summer. They went out and went swimming, and I don't know, flew a kite.
Well, they weren't swimming after this, that's for sure.
That's right. This changed everything. This is actually the #1 movie in America the week I was born.
I was gonna say this came out in '75. You'd barely hatched out of an egg by then.
Coincidence? I do not know.
That's right. That your coming was foretold.
Pretty much. And this was the movie that turned Richard Dreyfuss into a star. Prior to this, he was only in like American Graffiti.
And I was wondering what came first, this or Goodbye Girl.
Goodbye Girl came later. Oh, yeah.
All right, so because in this and Goodbye Girl, he became like the little furry sex symbol. It's true. You can mock, but he was like a little furry hedgehog. Not to be confused with the hedgehog, which is a whole different thing. Different genre of acting.
Exactly. No, I knew he was little and furry. I just didn't know he was a sex symbol. But I guess if you like carnival dwarves, anything goes.
Furry carnival dwarves.
Should we just jump right in with the plot? Do you want to tell the plot?
I'll give you the plot. Beach town, shark, must kill shark. They kill shark. The end. How's that? Did I leave anything out?
Maybe a few little plot points there.
There's a little juicy bits. It takes place in Amity, which I always assumed this was the same town as the Amityville Horror. Who would ever live in Long Island? Because clearly it's full of haunted houses, the mafia, and giant sharks.
That is true.
Later, I understand one was Amityville, New York. This is supposed to be like Amity Island in Massachusetts or something.
Right. It's basically Martha's Vineyard.
Okay.
That's basically what it is. But it set forth a lot of the tropes that we come to expect, where it's like the chief wants to shut down the beaches, predicts, there's going to be more shark attacks, and then of course his immediate superiors like, oh no, we can't do that. It'll affect our local businesses, so therefore we have to leave the beach open so that everyone gets eaten by sharks.
Yeah, people were less litigious in the 70s because it would be like, okay, mayor, but can you put that in writing? Because when they come to sue you and take everything you own because you didn't give a damn that there were sharks, I just want it on record that that you're basically threatening my job if I were to close the beach. So could you please write that down?
I know. Now, Alex Kittner's mom did come up and smack him one. When her son was eaten by a shark.
That's true. You can't pass the buck. He could have closed the beach, jeopardized his job, but he could have.
You're absolutely right. He's the chief of police. He says it himself. I can do whatever I want. I'm the chief of police.
Apparently not, because he bowed. The first whisper of a threat about his job, he was like, "Yes."
Now, the opening of the movie, I gotta go back. There are a bunch of crazy hippies smoking dope around a bonfire, and some chick and her, I guess, erstwhile new friend, she decides to go swimming out in the ocean in the middle of the night. I have to tell you, the idea of doing that just sounds terrifying in and of itself.
It makes no sense. First of all, it's the middle of the night. She's peeling off her clothes and just throwing them on the beach willy-nilly. Yep. And you got car keys, you got a wallet. How are you going to go back and find all this stuff?
That's a good point.
I'm a little too logical. Apparently, I guess she knew. It didn't matter. Here are my keys. Boop, plonk.
Right. So she goes swimming out there and boom, adios muchacha. I mean, that's pretty much ball game, which is what you think is always going to happen. And that's what I think. If I go swimming in the pool and the lights are out in the pool, I think the shark's going to get me.
Because of this damn movie.
Yeah,
I didn't want to go swimming in the deep end of the pool. A shark may come up through the drain.
You better believe it. What else is new?
I know. I had so many nightmares after this, and I don't know when I saw it. Do you think Mom and Dad took us to see it at 10? So I don't know when the hell I saw it, but when I saw it, I'm telling you, it freaked me out.
Right. Well, what was it? The tagline for Jaws 2 was just when you thought it was safe to get back in the water.
It's never safe.
It's never safe. Now, did you ever read the original novel?
Yeah. After this, I started a deep dive Peter Benchley, so I read 3 or 4 of his books.
I read the book as well, and there are some subplots that were in the book that they totally get rid of happily from the movie. There was one subplot about how his wife, Chief Brody's wife, was actually from a wealthy family, and she actually married below her station when she married the lowly police officer.
Right.
So that when the big money oceanographer, played by Richard Dreyfuss, comes to town, that kind of awakens something in her, and they start having an affair.
Oh God, I don't remember the novel.
Oh yes.
Oh, I missed all that.
So that was part of it. And then there's another subplot about the real reason why the head selectman didn't want the beaches closed. It wasn't just because of tourist dollars. Evidently there was some mob connection, like you said, like he owed a bunch of money to the mob, and therefore he needed the money for that reason.
Dear God, I clearly don't remember this novel at all. I may have read it in junior high. I have no knowledge.
Yeah, Spielberg basically said we can get rid of all that crapola. That's of no help at all. So let's get rid of it.
Cut the trash out, yeah.
For reals, which I think it's true. It's like none of that stuff really helped the movie in any way, shape, or form. So let's get rid of it.
Yeah.
Did you notice that Chief Brody's kids had the craziest Long Island accents, like the deepest accents in the entire movie? Hey, I'm just going in the water. I'm just swimming in the water, Dad.
Okay, that sounds more like a Massachusetts because you're dropping your R's. I don't know what you're doing.
It's something. Something's going on.
Remember, when you fake the Massachusetts accent, that's when you're dropping your R's. I want a quarter for some water for the dog so it won't fat.
My car's in the yard.
My car's in the yard. Yeah, it's all topsy-turvy.
Yeah, it's anarchy. It's
Yeah,
anarchy.
well, we don't really know where they're coming from. I mean, because Roy Scheider clearly has some kind of New York accent.
Well, he says he was a police officer in New York, and he felt like you could never make a difference. But here in Amity, where he's
one man could make a difference.
Right. There's the chief of police, and then the one officer, and that's it.
Yeah, he thinks it's Mayberry. Let's tell the truth.
Right.
I've seen Law and Order SUV, Law and Order Criminal Intent. Wouldn't you rather be a little beach community where occasionally a high school kid tries to steal a 6-pack of beer? Or do you just want to like shovel out dead junkies and crack babies 24/7? Let's be straight.
Just shovel them. Shovel them.
We all know Roy Scheider he was getting long in the tooth on the police force. Clearly not going to be chief of police in New York City.
Right.
So it's like I got 3 kids. We're all living in a studio apartment that's 100 square feet. Because I'm getting paid, $10,000 a year as a 1970s copper. I've just come off the French Connection, and that didn't help me. So here we go. We're going to go and get a free house on the beach.
Where do I sign?
Let's be straight.
And then, of course, there's the whole subplot about how he's afraid of the water.
Yeah, so why did you volunteer to get on the boat with Mr. Sharky McShark? No thanks. That's nonsensical.
Right.
Yeah, 9 Dunka.
It's like, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
I got to go. Okay, so there's the one iconic shot that I noticed. They're all on the beach after the first person's been killed. And then you see little Alex Kittner is like out there being eaten by the shark. And they do that crazy zoom in on Roy Scheider's face. You know the shot I'm talking about?
Yeah, where it's like ping.
Right. It's dynamite. It is. If you have not seen, first of all, I got to say this. If you have not seen Jaws lately, it is not, there is so much more to this than just being like a horror movie. Because there's like comedy in this.
Oh my God.
There's
some good, it stands up. It still stands up.
It is everything. It is everything you could ever want in a movie. Because it's not just 2 hours of people being eaten by sharks.
No. There are iconic characters and iconic lines. There's some magical dialogue in this film.
Yep.
The acting is spot on. I mean, there's 3 people in this movie. Everybody else you don't give a damn about. There's Roy Scheider. There is, Quint.
Robert Shaw.
And then there is Mr. Dreyfuss.
We call him Mr. Dreyfuss now.
We call him the little furry hedgehog. Yeah. And that's all you need to know. You don't even need the shark. The 3 of them playing off each other is amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, it's dynamite. There's that scene where Richard Dreyfuss is doing the autopsy, and he goes, "This is not a boating accident."
Is that your Richard Dreyfuss? He's got like a speech impediment?
He's got a little bit of an impediment. I thought that would add a little something. But there's a time years later, Richard Dreyfuss in a movie called Stakeout with Emilio Estevez.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
It's a dynamite movie. And in that movie, they're playing a game where Emilio Estevez gives him like movie lines. And the big joke is Emilio goes, "This is not a boating accident." And Richard Dreyfuss goes, I don't know. What's that from? So evidently that's a true story. Like they were playing it off camera and he didn't know what it was from. So they put it into the movie.
Shut your mouth. How funny.
So there you have it. Now, later in the movie, Alex Kittner's mom puts out a bounty. Go kill the shark. I will give you $2,000 if you kill the shark. And every Yahoo up and down the eastern seaboard comes into Amity Island to get them. They eventually do catch and kill a big tiger shark. Did you notice that there were literally arrows sticking out of this shark.
There's like a random arrow. It was like a Steve Martin arrow through the head kind of takeoff. Yeah, people were just like expected to find like a hatchet sticking out of the back, you know, a lawn dart.
It was ridiculous. It was like, okay, you see the guys like throwing dynamite in the water. There's other guys like chumming. Who is the guy with the longbow? That's what I want to know. You know what I'm saying? It was like, what is going on here? So yeah, evidently that was not the actual. That was not the shark that killed Alex Kintner.
Yeah, this was like a tiger shark or something.
Right. The wrong shark, but evidently this was a real shark that they used for that scene, and it had been rotting for a while, so that it actually made people sick to film next to it for some reason.
I bet.
Yeah, not a happy time. There's a scene where Richard Dreyfuss visits. What is Richard Dreyfuss's character's name, for God's sake?
Crap, I don't know. All we need to know is Quint and Chief.
There's Chief Brody.
Yeah.
And there's Quint, first name or last name.
And for the life of us, there's Richard Dreyfuss. That's it. He doesn't. That's his name in the movie. We'll just say that because we can't.
Drive me crazy.
I didn't even write it down. I have Quint, and I made a point of writing down Robert Shaw because I always forget what his real name is. And while we were discussing it, I forgot his name and then forgot I wrote it down.
Oh, good times. Okay. Hooper. His name is Hooper.
Like Upa Man, the John Ritter film.
Matt Hooper goes to Chief Brody's
He doesn't
house.
look like a Matt. That's a wrong name. That doesn't sound right.
No, that's his name.
I know, but it doesn't sound right. Matt.
I'm sorry to hear that.
He doesn't look like a Matt.
I don't know what to say about that, but
continue on.
Anywho, so Hooper goes to Chief Brody's house and brought 2 bottles of wine because he was going to tell him that he's determined that that's not the real shark.
Yeah.
And he sits down at their dinner table, but Chief Brody pours himself a huge tumbler of some kind of California
those like
red.
70s giant plastic 30-ounce cups, and he's like glug, glug, glug.
Yeah, exactly. And Hooper goes, "Is anybody eating this?" And then just takes Chief Brody's plate and proceeds to just eat his dinner there in front of everybody. There's no shame in his game.
No shame in his game.
I just noticed it at the time, just like, is this what we do? It's like, if I'm going to a person's house for the first time, I barge in, I notice they're eating, and I just help myself. I go, can I grab a plate out of the cupboard? He's taking food out of the guy's mouth. Very upsetting.
Basically, the idea is we're going to get our drunk on and prepare ourselves, because if this is the real shark, when they cut it open, like a kid's going to fall out. So they're kind of stealing themselves for this with some Matus or whatever jug wine they were drinking in the 70s.
Jug wine. Some Franzia or something.
Franzia's, that's alcohol free, isn't it?
No, that's wine in a box.
Oh, wine in a box. Okay.
It's a healthy choice. Now, one thing I noticed, and this is definitely a sign of the times, whenever they were in a hospital, people are just lighting up, pulling out cigarettes. At one point, Hooper yells at Brody, "There's no smoking in here." And it's like, okay, I get it. Finally,
it was a freer society in the 70s. We literally had internal terror. We had the weathermen blowing up people.
Yep.
We had airjacking. People were constantly hijacking planes to go to like Cuba or Russia or who knows where.
Constantly. And
nobody gave a shit. And you could check 12 bags if you wanted to at the airport. And you could smoke while you were on oxygen at the hospital. It was a freer time.
Now, did you notice there are 2 big jump scares that occur in this movie? Do you know what they are?
So one jump scare is when they see the abandoned boat and he dives in and he looks in a hole and a head appears.
Yes. That's the one.
And I made a note. Why is it missing only one eye? It seems the shark is too big to suck the one eye out.
That is an excellent question. And again, it's like, why is Richard Dreyfuss jumping into the middle of the ocean in the dark? They know there's a killer shark out there. I'm going to go swim. Do you mind if I swim around? It'll be fine.
Yeah, we were going to tow it back. We're going to tow no, let me jump in the pitch black water first.
Yeah, let me do that
Whatever.
First.
It progresses the plot. They wouldn't have the jump scare if it wasn't for that.
Now, what is the second big jump scare?
Is the second big jump scare while Scheider is chumming the waters and with his back is turned, and then all of a sudden a shark appears.
That's the one. Those
oh my God.
Two.
I was just watching that. And all of a sudden it was like, bing, his eyes flip open. He stands totally erect and starts backing up. And then comes the infamous line.
Yep. We're going to need a bigger boat.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
Oh, it's dynamite. It is so good. I love it because he's chumming and bitching about it. He's like, well,
bitching about not paying any damn attention what he's doing.
I can go full ahead. You come down here and shovel some of this stuff. It was good. Oh, it's dynamite. It is dynamite. Now, Spielberg actually said that originally he did not have the eyeball scene. He had the one big jump scare with the shark coming up in the chum, but he's like, I feel like we need a second one. So he added that one, and then test audiences, he discovered, actually reacted less strongly to the second jump scare.
Yeah, I think the first jump scare is unnecessary. There's really no point.
That's what he said. He said he got greedy. And it basically, the moment he had that jump scare, it was like from there on, the audience is on guard.
Right.
So the second big scare isn't as powerful, which is kind of an interesting commentary on that.
Yeah, so that's the issue with we're directing by committee. No.
Right.
You got to take responsibility and take a risk and go with your gut.
Totally. Well, he also said it was like if he knew now what he should have known then, or wish he would have known then, is that he wouldn't have been filming in the ocean at all, really.
Yeah.
He'd been doing it in like a sound tank back in Los Angeles. Like it cost so much more money, and the real ocean is hard to kind of film around.
You can't control it.
You can't control it, and you're going to make the audience like violently ill with the rocking and rolling from the waves and all this stuff. So
Blair Witch, man, Blair Witch. I thought I had to stifle a vomit for like 2 hours.
Stifle a vomit. Interesting. I don't even want to know how one would go about stifling a vomit. But
deep breath.
Just take a minute.
Shove some more popcorn in your yab.
But next note I have is the Scar contest.
Oh my God. That literally, I think, is the best scene. It's the best scene. It's the truest scene.
Right.
And it's like two little kids at first vying for daddy's attention with Chief Brody being daddy. And then it takes a left turn.
Well, before we get to the left turn, I thought it was hilarious because Hooper, all of his scars are like, well, moray eel got me here, a bull shark. Quint's, all of his stuff is like, I was in a bar brawl and I was celebrating my third wife's demise and broke my arm wrestling. And then they cut to Roy Scheider looking at his appendix scar. Like, that's the only...
And who apparently has a six-pack, too. He's the leanest one there.
That is the craziest thing. Okay, so the left turn. Hit me.
The left turn, man, is Hooper notices a kind of a tattoo scar on Robert Shaw's arm. And Shaw says, well, I've had it removed. And, what was it? Did it say mother? And then it got heavy.
Right.
He announces it was the USS Indianapolis, which Hooper knew exactly what it was. And Chief Brody had no idea. And the way the dialogue is written for his tale is it's almost poetic. It's mesmerizing.
Evidently, they wrote that like the night before. They felt like that scene needed something extra, and they like came up with it right before filming.
It is chilling. 1,100 went into the water. 316 came out.
Yeah.
And the way they wrap it up, and I should have written it down, where he starts it that way and he ends it that way. It feels like a poem. So, and then he gives the date. We delivered the bomb. It's the story about they delivered the bomb.
Right.
And then World War II, not World War One. And and then a Japanese torpedo sunk their ship. It was down in 12 minutes. And it was so top secret. They never sent a distress signal. It was a week before anyone was alerted, and they're all just floating in the water, being picked off one by one by sharks for a week. It's a chilling story. Some say karmic retribution. They are the ones who dropped the bomb. Either way, it's a horrifying story.
Oh, it was dynamite.
Oh my God. What he's telling first, when they're showing the scars, it seemed absolutely believable. They seem like they were real people telling a real story.
Absolutely.
And the minute Shaw starts telling the story of being on the Indianapolis, it is bone chilling.
It is. It was. Oh man.
I'm telling you, if you watch anything from the show, just watch that. Screw the shark. That's the thing. Right. He should have gotten an award, and whoever wrote that should have gotten an award. But that whole section, that's the best part. You can turn the movie off after this. Who really cares? That's the best part.
Robert, what? Love him. If you haven't seen The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, stop what you're doing. Rush out and see it. Robert Shaw as his finest. Robert Shaw was also a Bond villain. He was the... Yes, and From Russia with Love, he was the main. He was like blonde and muscular henchman fighting Sean Connery about 15 years previous.
Well, I will tell you, when he was pulling up his sleeves, you could tell he was in shape. Considering the amount of alcohol he pours down his throat, it's a wonder. But
oh, no question.
I have literally never seen him in anything but this. I can't even imagine.
You got to go out and broaden your horizons. I'll tell you, it's not all horror movies, Aaron. I got to tell you, there's a whole world out there.
Robert Shaw, isn't he Irish? What a fine Irishman.
He's something like that. I don't know.
We'll say it's Celtic. Can we say Celtic? That covers up any pale people from Europe.
You want. Evidently, Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw did not get along. Robert Shaw would be boozing it up and just taking it out on this little doughy furry guy all day long.
Hey, that's where you get the magic, baby. And back to Robert Shaw, I really would like to try some of this apricot brandy, because that's what apparently he drank the whole time. I was like, I want to try some apricot brandy.
Sounds delicious, does it?
Maybe. I don't know.
Now, as you know,
yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to go. Richard Dreyfuss says, cut out all this working class hero crap. I'm like, which one of these characters is supposed to be the boss, Springsteen? Which one of these guys is supposed to be the working class hero? Quint?
Well, yeah.
The wealthy oceanographer? Who's the working class hero? I don't think so.
The working class, Quint's, because he touches his hands, he's like, you've been counting money all your life, Mr. Hoover.
Oh, yeah.
You got soft hands like a doll's eyes. I don't know.
Your hands are soft like a doll's eyes.
I'm paraphrasing.
You are like Robert Shaw. That was spine tickling.
What I was going to say is they made not one, not two, but 3 sequels to this movie.
Oh, I'm sure I saw them all.
Seen them all?
Is there only 3?
Yes. There's only 3. There is Jaws 2, which they brought back Roy Scheider and his wife. And they killed the shark by electrocuting it at the end of Jaws 2.
Yeah.
Jaws 3.
That's 3D. I saw that. It was like crappy 3D. Wasn't it with the red and the blue glasses, like you'd get to watch Elvira on Saturday nights when they do the 3D?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was pretty hinky.
This followed the adventures of his Brody's now adult sons, including Dennis Quaid, who played one of his sons as they visit Marineland. That's Randy.
Oh,
okay.
I thought you said Randy.
No, Dennis Quaid.
I'd rather see it with
and Leah
Randy.
Thompson.
I want to see it with Randy Quaid.
That would definitely be a different movie. I saw it, and Louis Gossett Jr.'s in it. Leah Thompson, another all-star cast.
Madonna.
Then of course there was Jaws: The Revenge. This time it's personal with Michael Caine.
Isn't that
Michael
the third
Caine
one?
That's the fourth
I
one,
thought
baby.
you just said there were only 3.
I said there are 3 sequels.
Oh, 3 sequels. Okay.
Yeah. The immortal Michael Caine, who was in that Help Me Buy a New Summer House kind of.
They needed another kind of vaguely Irish, British, whatever character to replace Quint. And I love Alfie, but he ain't no Robert Shaw.
He ain't no Robert. I like him too. No Robert Shaw. But I'll tell you what, you'll be shocked to know Spielberg had no involvement with any of the other ones.
I'm not that shocked.
It's shocking. And Roy Scheider was basically forced to be in the second one. They had him under contract. So
he's like, I did the French Connection. I did all that jazz. And now I got to do Jaws too? Maybe he had a gambling addiction. That's what I assume.
Could be.
Drugs or gambling.
Yeah. Stranger things happen. Any other interesting tidbits?
There was a couple of things that pop into my mind. At one point, someone has defaced the billboard where they've drawn.
Yes.
It looked like something right out of Mad Magazine. And Mad Magazine, R.I.P., R.I.P., no more.
Yeah, very sad.
And of course, there's the iconic scene of the 2 little punky kids with the fake shark fin swimming around the beach, spooking all the swimmers. That's a classic scene too. They pop up out of the water, and the entire Coast Guard, all with long hair. Apparently, they'd relaxed their standards. Are all pointing guns at him. And they're like,
'70s.
He made me do it. That was a great scene too.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
That sounds like something I would have done back in the day too. Shenanigans.
Oh, no, that's something you do right now.
Yeah, you ain't that wrong. You know what? And I had one problem with the story. I don't know if you noticed this. The shark was eating people off the shore, but they go to hunt the shark in the middle of the ocean. Why? Right. Why would they assume, even though it's feeding apparently constantly right along shore, that it would then all of a sudden be in the middle of the ocean, far from shore? Why?
Well, they were chumming a lot. There's a lot of chum-chumily, chum-chummaroo.
So why wouldn't you chum-chummaree where you last saw the shark? I know. I'm letting logic into that. I'm letting the logic get in there.
Well, Spielberg basically said he wanted it to look like they were totally alone.
I get that. You don't want to think that, the boat's sinking, but it's only going to go 1 more foot because we're on a sandbar.
Right, exactly. But these are important questions to ask within the narrative of the story. Anything else?
I don't know. I would say this is definitely a classic, but is it a masterpiece? I don't know. It is a classic. It's very Spielberg, and I don't know if it's that John Williams. I expect to see E.T. Scooching by, riding on the back of the shark, and all starts to melt together with all that music and everything. But it's fantastic.
Well, if the shark eats E.T., I guess that's okay.
Phone home, Bruce.
I will say it. I'll say it again. This is like top 5 all time for me. Don't ask me what the other 4 are, though. I love it. It is done.
If it's on, I will watch it, but I always turn it off after the Scar and the Indianapolis talk, because you already know what's going to happen. You've already had the build up. So after that, it's all just wrapping it up.
Yeah. Well, the stories about how the shark didn't work.
Oh, yeah.
So all of the cool point of view filmmaking, all the kind of mystery was just kind of like necessity being the mother of invention. They had to figure something out. It turned out that's made all the difference.
Of course, because your imagination it's always better I want to say Quentin Tarantino filmed the scene where they're cutting off the ear in Reservoir Dogs. This
Yeah.
When you see it, when you watch the movie and you don't see it, audiences said it was much more terrifying that they actually shot it where you actually see him slicing the ear off.
Right.
It builds more suspense. But for the few shots they had of it, it's fantastic. I mean, yeah, the second jump scare with Roy Scheider where the shark just kind of appears over his shoulder, that's great. That's all you needed to do.
Now, the weakest scene with the shark was when the shark literally jumps on deck.
Oh, yeah.
And starts eating
Robert Shaw. Yeah, that was terrible. And he just slides in.
Part.
I mean, it's at a 30-degree angle, and Roy Scheider can't hold on to his hand. Does he have palsy?
That was helpless.
That was ridiculous.
He might as well just have jumped in the shark's mouth.
Yeah, hold a sec. Let me just crawl in. Yeah.
Basically.
That was hokey fanokey. It's very reminiscent. I haven't been to Universal Studios in about 3,000 years, but I went.
We went last year.
I went in 80, and they had that crazy shark.
Oh, still there. Still there.
Does the tour guide like pretend to shoot guns at him like he's in Lion Country Safari?
Pretty much. It's funny that it's like there hasn't been another Jaws movie since like 1986 or something, but it's good. I mean, they might as well have had the Battlestar Galactica Cylons still walking around.
Oh, I used to love that.
So good times.
Are you telling me they don't have the Cylons walking around? Oh,
they finally got rid of the Cylons, although they do have the Waterworld Stunt Spectacular.
Okay, come on. They brought back Battlestar. Oh my God, I'm having a seizure or something. Battlestar Galactica, but Waterworld, nobody knows what that is.
Right, exactly. It's a sad situation.
I think it's my fault because I literally haven't been there since 1980 because I couldn't give a damn.
Nor could anybody else. So there you have it. Good time.
Good time.
Thank you for joining us. So go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Like, share, tell the world. Go and follow us on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie.
That's so complicated.
Don't forget, that's how we like it. And then, of course, subscribe on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, any of it.
And rate
other things.
Tell a friend that's not related to us. Make them watch it.
I finally went ahead and gave us 5 stars. So now we got 2 5-star reviews.
What I need you to do, audience members, non-family members, is force a friend, tie them down with duct tape, whatever you got to do. Force them to listen to our podcast and then rate it. A 5-star. If they're going to give us a 1, then just leave them duct taped. I don't care.
And make sure you do it every week. That was good time. So, thank you very much. And goodbye.
Ciao. Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders to sail back to Boston, and so nevermore shall we see you again.